What a week.
What a week.
What a week.
Were you
Crazy
busy?
week.
Were you busy with a lot of questions about the new program this week?
Very interesting is that amazing how many first-time home buyers have called us this week and looking to get pre-approved, but don't know about the program.
Really?
Well, there's not a ton of advertising about it.
There isn't.
Not a lot of people know about it. I can see that.
Yeah.
If we weren't in the industry, we may not know about it.
Like at least a half a dozen of them said, really, what program? Did you know that there's, and one of them is buying from a builder closing next April. I said, do you realize that with your 5% you can get 10% interest free? So one of my agents was at another realtor's office this week, and that realtor is just slamming this program, and it's like, and he's sitting there, and again, he's been invited there, so he doesn't want to go up against this realtor, but he's keeping his mouth shut, but he wants to say, like, your numbers are all wrong. Like, you have no idea how good this program is for first-time home buyers and how much it's going to help them get into the, because it has. So I can tell you I've had 2 files this week that under previous circumstances would not have qualified, and now they qualify for the house they're looking for.
It's good for the real estate market for sure. There's
Well, it's good for the consumer,
but there's
so.
still 50-50. Some people don't like the program. Some people like the program. And
What scares
I
people?
wanna
The equity part?
well, that would scare me. The equity part would definitely scare me.
But what
out.
if you can't get in? And
Well,
now you can get in.
okay,
Does
but-
the equity part scare you now?
But what if I can get in? Do I
Yeah.
want the program?
Do you want the money interest free? You do the math on it. If you're going to hang on to this house for 10 years and all of a sudden your payment is $150 less a month, that's $1,800 a year times 10 years, that's $18,000 that you've saved in interest alone. Never mind the default insurance is cheaper and everything else. Who cares if you got to give back 10K or 15K of the equity at that point? You've saved it all in interest. And you were able to get into the house, keep your monthly payment lower. Paul, you know me, I do numbers, and I do numbers very, like, I'm meticulous when it comes to numbers. The numbers work with this program. The only reason that it's getting a lot of bad play is because the bad play is coming from the media outlets in Toronto and Vancouver, where this program doesn't work.
Yeah, it
It
doesn't.
Because the
doesn't
homes
work.
are too expensive, right?
The homes are too expensive. But this program was never meant to help Toronto and Vancouver. This program was meant, in my opinion, this program was meant to help the rest of Canada, because once they introduced the stress test 2.5 years ago, it hurt a lot of the smaller markets in our country. And what this has done now, it has taken those small markets in the country and elevated the opportunity for young Canadians in those smaller markets to be able to get into home ownership.
I wish they'd remove the stress test and not worry about the program. It's really the truth. I mean, they brought in the stress test, which really hurt everybody, and now they're bringing this in to try help people. I see where someone who can't qualify can now qualify. Someone who couldn't afford the payments can now afford the payments. That's awesome. That's awesome. I want us, because obviously we know first-time home buyers spur the economy, right? That's first-time home buyers buy. Those people can move up, then those people can move down. So, yeah, if it's going to help first-time home buyers get off the fence and be able to afford a home, then, yeah, I'm all for it, man.
But it's not even first-time home buyers. It's someone that is going through a separation now. I mean, it's going to help them. It's going to help somebody where again, they can't get in, but their parents are going to guarantee for them or co-sign for them, and now it allows them to get in. It allows somebody that's not necessarily a first-time home buyer to be able to participate in the program as long as the other person that they're participating with is a first-time home buyer. So, I think they've put some, and like I said, I was critical of the program when it first came out, but as they've added some really good nuggets in there, it's made the program that much more attractive.
But the numbers are capped, right? You can only make a certain amount of money.
120. If you make more than $120,000 a year, forget it.
And that's combined income.
That's combined. Whoever's on the file, whether it's a guarantor or a purchaser or the borrower themselves, cannot make more than $120,000 combined. Period.
And is there a maximum mortgage amount?
Well, again, I mean, rule of thumb is 4 times your income. But that being said, I mean, the 4 times your income is the mortgage amount, and then you add the down payment. So if you're buying from a builder and you're getting a 10% interest-free loan plus your own 5%, so that brings that value to about $560. So the rule
Which is an average house in Ottawa nowadays.
Yeah.
a detached home, right? If you're buying from a builder, you're probably getting a detached home in that $550, the smaller detached home in the $550, $560 range, a smaller one.
Yeah, a smaller one. Well, we
Right?
talked.
Yeah, you're not getting a 2,400 square foot home for $560 anymore.
We talked about, just before we were coming on the show, we were talking about the average sale price, and I was telling you what the average sale price is. Do you remember when we started this show? Do you remember what the average sale price was?
$275.
$275, and that was 12 years ago. Right now, year to date, the average sale price is just shy of $441,000. Wow. Yeah. I mean, August alone was a huge month. The number of sales were up 9.5%, and the average sale price was up 11.8% in 1 month.
And that's average. That's not talking pockets that are going through the roof.
That are going even more. Yeah, like we're talking generalities here, but there's pockets that are going through way more than that. And then you look at year to date. I like the year to date stats because you can always have a hot month and a cold month, and that even though we've had lots of hot months.
We've had lots of weird months.
Yeah, we have. But if you look at the year to date, the number of sales are only up 4.3%. So that's not huge. Last year we are up 10%. So we're only up 4.3%.
That's lack of inventory, though.
Of course,
that
yeah,
attributes to
lack
that.
of inventory. But the average sale price year to date is up 7.8%. So I've told you before, I think we're going to end up in double digits with the average sale price. I strongly believe we will. I think it's going to be a flip of last year. Last year, our average sale price, number of sales was up 10%. Average sale price was 5.5. It'll flip this year. I think we'll see our number of sales about 5, maybe 5.5%, and our average sale price will probably be in the 10, potentially even 11% range.
Supply and demand, right?
Well, it is supply and demand. I mean, like every show I tell you how many listings are on the market, and we've gone from 45 to 44 to 42. Right now we're at 3,959 on the market.
It's not getting better.
No, it's not getting better, and there's only 476 condos on the market, so that's really, really low. You talk about 2-3 years ago when we were 2,300 condos. Now we're only 476, and our listing inventory is down 27.5% in August alone. Condo market inventory is down 44.3%.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why the average sale price is where it is, just because there's nothing really to buy out there. It's slim pickings. And
But again, some pockets are extreme. Like, we talk about Barhaven. I'm guessing that number is easily into double digits right now.
Way into double
Easily,
digits. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's hard working with a consumer who is looking in those areas. Like if you're looking in the Barhavens, the Findlay Creeks, the Riverside South, the Canadas, the Orleans, it's like,
You better be ready financially.
oh, you better have a hard pre-approval, and 2, you better ready to jump when we say jump.
Should you be counting at least 5-10% above list if you're looking in those areas?
Oh,
Sometimes more.
Sometimes more.
Yeah.
Sometimes more.
Yeah.
But we have a couple people we're working with right now, and they keep losing out on these multiples because they're like, okay, could you find out the age of the roof? And the agents are like, you can't. You need to buy the house, and then we'll find those things. Like, buy it conditional, and then we'll find out those things. But like sometimes we don't have time. Like you got to buy it and get into it, and then you decide. But then we can ask those questions. The roof, the windows, the furnace, before you firm up on the deal.
Now, if you're selling, should you be looking at short-term conditions? Should you be looking at conditions no more than a couple of days?
Well, that's advantageous. I mean, obviously, we've had this discussion in our team meetings. Would you take a firm offer for $5,000 less than a conditional one? And you never know, right? Because there are a lot of conditional deals that are falling apart because people are buying and then doing their due diligence and then walking away. So it's frustrating in that way. But yeah, like if you bring us a conditional offer, we want to see a tight condition. If you bring me a conditional, Frank brings me one, Frank has 2 days for everything and you have a week for everything, we're looking at Frank's, right?
Yeah.
As long as everything's similar. So if you have to have conditions in your deal, make sure they're tight, really tight. I mean, you almost have to have your home inspection booked for the next day.
Are you running into situations where people are actually putting in offers on more than one property?
Yep. Which is
It's funny you say that. One of my customers is going through it right now. They've had 3 offers. All 3 of them failed, and for no other reason than they had other offers on other properties, and they ended up getting the other properties, and they let this one sit for 3 to 5 days. Absolutely brutal.
this is crappy. I'll tell you what. Like we have one house that we had on the market that's fallen apart 7 times.
Wow.
4 of it was for financing. 3 of them were just silly little things. Oh, I don't like that. It's cosmetic. It's simple to fix. But what that does to that, so I suspect a couple of those financing issues were that they put multiple offers on different homes, and then they decide, oh, we like this one better, so we'll take this one and we'll withdraw our offer. The problem with that is, even in a hot market, you take a house off the market and then we got to put it back on. 1, there's the stigma of what's wrong with it, why did it fall apart, and 2, you've lost that momentum. The people that were looking at that property have moved on to other properties now.
Does it show how many times a deal has fallen apart?
No, but if agents are smart, well, yes, you can. They'll show it conditional, active, conditional, active. Can a consumer see that? No. Can a consumer find that out through a real estate agent? Absolutely.
A good agent.
An
Yeah,
agent
but as an agent, you can look back and you can say, well, here's the history in the last month and a half. Not good.
A good agent will do their due diligence and find out, has that home been on the market before? What's the history of that property? And once they see conditional, active, conditional, active, conditional, active, the agents, the beacon goes up. What's wrong with that property?
Sure.
And it's frustrating for the seller. It's so frustrating for the seller so I had to call these sellers and I had to say, listen, this is not normal what you guys are going through. I'm sorry that this is happening. You know, luckily they still have trust in us because it's not our fault this is happening. But it's still a tough conversation to have with a seller.
What a
sorry,
unique situation, though.
7 times, and there's nothing really wrong with it. There's nothing,
Wow.
you know. So, anyways, just it's frustrating out there when homes are falling. I'm signing a lot of checks back because they fell apart. Lots of them. It's too much.
Wow. 521 Talk 521-8255. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the phones we go. Cynthia in Canada's been waiting. Hello, Cynthia.
Good morning.
I had a question. Where can I find the division of the value of the property, like the land and the house itself?
So are you saying that your house is not, like, are you trying to tear down the house and just value the land? Is that what you're like, trying to sell it for land value only?
Not really, but I wanted to know, is there a place that I can find that division, the value of the property?
Once the house is there really isn't a division. If
No,
you're,
there
if you're
isn't.
looking at the lot, you can get a price for the lot, and if you're thinking about taxes, then the lot is worth nothing next.
Well,
to
the only time you can do that is if you're buying sort of in the outskirts and you're buying that lot and then putting the house on it. We could say, lots go for in between, $100,000 to $150,000 in this area. But if you're in suburbia, what happens is a builder goes in there and buys a huge chunk of land, so it's hard to dictate which lot, how much is each lot.
You could do the math though. Like if you're in an area where homes are selling for $600,000, you could figure out how much it would cost to build that house on that lot.
And it's a general theory, but so I get a lot of appraisal reports, and part of the appraisal reports that we get from accredited appraisers is that they put what the land values on the appraisal report. So they'll say the land is this and the house is this amount. So
I find that almost impossible to do, though.
but it's hard on the real estate
Yeah.
agent to do.
Yeah, it's
very
almost
difficult.
impossible. Well, in case you're looking to do this, Cynthia, if you're looking to find the value of your property, we had a guy the other day who wanted to list his house, and he thought his house was worth, I won't say the price just in case he listens to the show, but he thought it was worth a good chunk of money. And we're looking at the comparables, and we're thinking it's $200,000 less than what he actually thinks it is. And I said, where are you coming up with your number? And he said, well, the land value is approximately X. For me to rebuild this house, it would be X, which puts me up to this price. I said, that's not how you determine price. That's not how, because is that what you're looking to do?
Well, it's really for tax purposes. I wanted to, we own a couple of rental properties.
Okay.
Because we did some renovation and stuff, we're just trying to be able to offset everything, like to not go into the value of the land itself.
Yeah, you know what though? For tax purposes, the land
The
isn't
lower
worth
the better.
The land isn't worth very much at all.
And you want that value, like even though you did some renovations, if your impact comes in, I don't know if it's this year or next year. I got to look into it whether it's this year or next year that they do the new impacts for tax purposes for 3 years at a time or 4 years at a time. But you want that number to be as low as possible because that's what your property taxes are based on. So market value and impact value are two different things. You want one to be higher, obviously the market value, but you want the impact to be as low as possible.
You'll be shocked at how many people think their actual assessment is the value of their home.
Of course. No, we get that all the time.
Especially when the assessment's high.
Yeah.
We go in, we're like, so listen, here's the problem here. Your house is only worth here. You're paying tax on this.
Yeah.
Maybe you should be asked to be reassessed.
Challenge, yeah.
But most times an assessment's
the other way
way
around.
under what the value actually is.
But for condos, like you had the its amount of time per square foot.
Yeah.
For a house, you don't have that.
Well, no, I know how much it costs to build a house per square foot. Absolutely. It all depends on what you're putting into it. You could be anywhere from $170 a square foot to $350 or $400 a square foot.
Yeah,
if you're
you're
putting-
not finding a lot of 175s anymore. Not in today's world.
No,
I mean,
but
you're in the twos.
You're definitely in the twos, but I know some builders that are still in the ones,
But the land value would be minimal when you're looking at an assessment.
Depends on where it is.
especially suburban.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is if you fixed up a house, they're looking at the package.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
But the land
But the
value,
land value means a lot. You get into some areas like older neighborhoods
Yeah.
where there's nice 65 by 90 foot lots. That land value is actually sometimes more without the house than with the house on it.
oh,
in
like a
many cases.
Westboro when they were going through.
Well,
Westboro or
well,
even
Westboro-
Maryville Gardens and stuff. Fisher
Westboro even
Gardens.
now. I mean, you're looking for a teardown in Westboro. Your minimum $500,000 minimum. for a
You're
teardown.
buying a crappy house.
You're buying a
with the
teardown.
intention
You're
of
buying the
taking it
land
down.
value is what you're
Yeah,
buying. Yeah. So it's we could do it. What area are you in?
Canada.
Are you in sort of suburbia Canada or rural Canada?
Canada south, but not the newer one. It's a big lot, like it's 6,000 square foot. The house is a single house.
Yeah.
There's all that land that I'm thinking, what could I do with it? I could build a semi-detached there.
But can you? I don't know. Is it severable?
Yeah, you'd have to.
Yeah, that's what you need to do is probably get somebody to help you to determine whether
Yeah.
that land could be changed. The purpose of the land could be changed from a single home to anything else.
Yeah, you'd have to determine that because I mean everyone wants to put a duplex on their land and make some money, but it's not always, especially in suburbia, it's not happening.
You can find out that out municipally.
Yeah, we can find that
Yeah.
out for you, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
you're
Thanks,
welcome.
Cynthia.
good question. Thank you.
I know.
It's so easy to determine land value when you're sort of rural, right? Because people are actually selling rural lots.
Yeah.
But in suburbia, when's the last time you saw someone in let's say a Minto subdivision selling a lot? It just doesn't happen.
But as far as taxes go, let's say you have a 2-acre lot that you haven't built on yet, you're paying next to nothing
Yes.
in taxes.
Yeah.
Once you build on it, now you're paying some money.
Absolutely.
Well, of course, and that's where the tax revenue goes up tremendously. I mean, all this empty land, and that's why you listen to a lot of people say we don't understand. All these houses are being built, so therefore they're getting way more tax revenue than they ever have, the city, and yet they're struggling. Like we're and it's true. Like trying to do the math on it sometimes is a little confusing because you've got a piece of land that basically is generating no tax revenue, and all of a sudden within 2 years there's 300 homes on there, and the tax revenue that's being generated from 300 homes is through the roof.
Well, don't
and yet
forget-
they're struggling.
Yeah, don't forget building permits, development,
And everything else
Yeah.
that goes with it,
Sure,
for sure, right?
sure.
So, and I understand they got to put the streets, they got to put the street lights, but in many cases, I
But
think
the
the
developer
developers
pay-
are
yeah.
having to do most of that stuff.
Yeah.
So where's that tax revenue? Like their tax revenue has to be going up. Never mind the fact that the money they're making on the HST and the GST and everything else. I mean, and the
Land
jobs it's
transfer,
creating.
sure.
It just sometimes you scratch your head and say like all these homes are being built everywhere, and yet they're complaining that they're not getting enough tax revenue. Imagine if these homes weren't built.
Well, you remember the report that came out? It might have been about 6 months, a year ago, where they talked about how much profit the builders are making and how much the fees are, and they talked about 1/3 of your new build home is actually fees,
Taxes,
fees,
yeah.
land transfer, all sorts of just fees, permits.
Yeah.
1/3 of your new build is
Yeah.
fees.
Or it used to be closer to 10% years
Yeah.
ago. So
I even had a problem with that.
Well,
Yeah.
I know they're still trying to push everyone the boundaries in a little bit. I mean, the permits for the country now are through the roof. I know when I owned my own home building company, we noticed they started going up, and we're like, why? We're building out in like I don't know Merrickville. Like, why are they going up? And they said because we're trying to push people back in towards the city. It's
Really?
too much urban sprawl. Yeah.
521 talk 521-8255 Bank of Canada.
interesting announcement.
Interesting announcement.
It's almost like gas prices for Frank.
Or job reports.
We'll talk about that coming up.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Rushforth, what can we now expect now that we are into a routine again?
Well, now that the kids are back to school, I think we're going to see a little bit of a surge. Even though our company in August had an incredible month, we were well ahead of where we were August last year.
In sales, but not in listings.
Not in listings, I'm telling you, we're bare in listings, and for us, we're probably, per capita, we carry more listings than anyone, and we're usually into the hundreds, no problem here, 120, 130. I don't know right now, but I'd say we're about 30, 35. Wow. That's it. So we're not carrying a lot of listings. Sales, though, we're well above where we were. Not year to date, we're not. But what do you expect now coming into September, October, November? I think we're going to have 2 very good, robust months now that the routines are started again. The last couple weeks with kids getting back to school, French schools and kids 1 week, English the next week. It was slow. It was a little bit slower. We saw that, but I think we're going to start
common,
seeing.
general, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we
which is
expect that.
very common. But as September and October usually really picks up into November, and then we sort of slow down near the Christmas period. But I'm shocked that the listings are still going down because I'm just shocked that we're still going down with listings.
This
I know-
should be the next busy season over the next month, right?
It should be, yeah. So usually what you have is you have your booming spring market, then you have a little bit of a slowdown in the summer months, and it's hard to predict where we're going to be in the summer months, and then you start to